My phone showed her name on the screen. I let it ring twice before I picked up. She thought I was at work. I was parked outside our house.
Hey, baby. How's your day going? You almost done?
I could hear it immediately, the slight breathlessness, the careful control in her voice. Someone was in that house with her. Almost done, I said. Be home soon. I hung up, checked my watch, and started the clock. But let me take you back to where this started. 7 years together teaches you a person's rhythms, how they move, how they breathe, how their voice changes when something isn't right. When Sophia started drifting, I felt it before I understood it. It started small. A new phone case with a cover flap, the kind that hides the screen when it lights up. Then a new passcode. Then the habit of flipping her phone face down whenever I walked into the room. One evening I asked casually, "Everything okay with work?"
Yeah, totally fine. Just been a little busy lately. Nothing to worry about.
The smile didn't reach her eyes. Around the same time, she became devoted to her gym routine. She said it helped clear her head. Fair enough, except she'd come home already showered, makeup freshly done, hair styled like she was heading somewhere afterward, rather than coming back from a workout. When I asked who she trained with,
Oh, just different people. You know how it is at the gym. You just kind of fall into conversation with whoever's around. Nobody specific, really.
that didn't match the consistency on her calendar. The same time slot, 3 times a week, every week, for months. Then came the girls' nights. Sudden, frequent, never involving photos or stories, or even the names of who she was supposedly with. Sophia used to share everything. Now she shared nothing. I didn't accuse her. Didn't blow up. Didn't chase shadows. I just watched. Quietly, patiently. She had no idea I was paying attention. Free creature. The first concrete break came on a random Tuesday. Sophia had rushed to answer a phone call and left her laptop open on the couch. I wasn't looking for anything. Her screen lit up on its own. A notification from our shared cloud account, a photo backup, then a message preview that disappeared almost instantly. The name attached to it, Tyler, a man from her office. I'd heard exactly 3 sentences about him in 7 years. It wasn't conclusive, but it was enough. Over the next weeks, the signs stacked up. Phone taken everywhere, including the bathroom. Message previews turned off. Passcode changed twice in 1 month. She stopped mentioning her coworkers entirely, like the whole office had become a subject she'd decided not to bring home. One night after she fell asleep, I checked our shared cloud drive. Not her phone, just the folder we both had access to. Half-deleted thumbnails, cropped screenshots, fragments of conversations that didn't match anything she'd ever told me. I needed certainty. Guessing felt weak. So I called Victor Hale, a private investigator a former colleague had used. Quiet, professional, the kind of man who understood that some clients just needed clarity, not drama. "I need to know what's actually happening," I told him. He nodded once. "You'll know." 3 weeks later, Victor asked to meet. He placed a slim folder on the table between us. Inside, printed photos. Sophia outside her office with a man, laughing too hard at nothing, leaning in closer than necessary. Another photo at a wine bar, his hand resting on her knee. "That's Tyler," Victor said. I looked at the second set without being asked. Different man, gym clothes, athletic build. They met behind the gym, not at the entrance, not in the parking lot, behind it. "That one's Derek," Victor said. "The timestamps go back nearly 3 years." 3 years. I closed the folder. "Thank you," I said. My voice stayed level, but something in my chest had already made a decision. "I really, creature." One evening, Sophia sat across from me at dinner, pushing food around her plate, building up to something.
Nathan, I've been thinking. Maybe we should try couples therapy. I know we've both been distant lately, and I think it could really help us. I want us to be better. I want to actually fix things between us before it's too late.
I set down my fork. If you think it helps, I said, we can try it.
Really? You'd do that for us? I know it's not really your thing, but I genuinely think talking to someone together could change everything. I've already looked into a few therapists. There's one who specializes in couples reconnecting. I think she'd be great for us.
She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I squeezed back. Inside, something had already settled into place. Therapy wasn't her way of saving us. It was her way of confessing in a controlled environment before I found out on my own. The night before the first session, she paced the hallway for 40 minutes. I lay in bed and listened to her footsteps, back and forth, back and forth. She was rehearsing. That same night, she came to bed later than usual. She slid in beside me, pressed herself close, her hand finding mine in the dark.
I miss us, she said quietly. I feel like we haven't really been together in so long. I just want to feel close to you tonight. Is that okay?
She said it like she meant it. Maybe she did. Or maybe she needed to feel like the version of herself that still belonged here, before tomorrow's session changed everything. I didn't say anything. I just let the night go where it went. Afterward, she fell asleep with her back to me, phone face down on the nightstand. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, thinking about Victor's folder, thinking about tomorrow. The therapy session started on a Thursday afternoon. Dr. Carter had a quiet office, soft lighting, the kind of calm that made people say things they'd been holding for months. Sophia liked her immediately. I could tell from the way she sat forward, hands folded, like a student trying to make a good impression. First session. Communication styles, daily friction, small disconnections. Sophia talked about feeling unappreciated, chose her words carefully, never too sharp, never too revealing. I listened. By the third session, she was circling the same territory.
I just feel like Nathan doesn't really see me anymore. Like I'm invisible in my own home. I've tried to connect with him, but it feels like I'm always the one reaching out and getting nothing back. I need to feel seen. I need to feel like I matter to him.
Dr. Carter looked at me. How do you respond to that, Nathan? I'm trying, I said. I hear her. And that was true. Just not in the way either of them thought. I watched Sophia during those sessions. Her hands would shake slightly. She glanced at her phone every few minutes. She looked guilty enough to confess, but too afraid to actually do it. The night before the fourth session, she barely slept. At breakfast, she whispered,
Nathan, tomorrow, please just be patient with me. I have some things I need to say, and I just need you to hear me out before you react. Can you promise me that? Please?
Of course, I said. But before that fourth session, there was a Tuesday. I'd left for work that morning like any other day, kissed her on the cheek, said I'd be home by 6. I was back by 11. I parked 2 blocks away and walked. The front curtains were drawn, something Sophia never did during the day. I let myself in through the side door quietly, shoes off at the entrance. Voices from upstairs. Hers. And a man's. I stood at the bottom of the stairs and listened for exactly 30 seconds. Then I took out my phone. Called her number. Upstairs, her ringtone cut through the quiet. A sharp, panicked silence. Then shuffling. Urgent, whispered movement. She picked up after the 4th ring.
Hey, hi. Sorry, I was in the middle of something. Is everything okay? Are you almost done for the day?
Her breathing was slightly off. Controlled, but not quite right. Just checking in, I said. Everything good at home?
Yeah, totally fine. Just been doing some cleaning, you know how it is. I might go for a walk later if the weather holds up. You need anything on your way home?
I could hear it. The effort in every word. The performance. And underneath it, barely audible, the sound of someone trying not to make a sound. I'm good, I said. See you at 6. I hung up. Stood there in my own hallway. Then I did something she never expected. I called Tyler's number, a number I'd gotten from Victor weeks ago, and the moment he picked up, I immediately connected both calls into a three-way line. He answered on the second ring, casual, relaxed. Neither of them knew the other was listening.
Okay, I think we're fine. He bought it. He's not coming home until 6.
Tyler's voice, low and confident. You sure? Because that was cutting it close.
I'm sure. Now stop worrying and come back upstairs. We still have time.
I listened for exactly 45 seconds. Then I ended the call. Sent Tyler a single text from a number he didn't recognize. Hope you enjoyed the conference call. I walked back out the side door, got in my car, and drove back to the office. At exactly 5:58 p.m., I came home through the front door. Sophia was in the kitchen, cooking dinner, wearing a different outfit than the one she'd had on when I left.
Hey, you're right on time. I made pasta. How was your day?
Good, I said. Productive. She smiled. Set the table, poured 2 glasses of wine, and I watched her perform the most ordinary evening of her life, knowing that Tyler had spent the last 6 hours staring at his phone, trying to figure out what had just happened. The 4th therapy session began quietly. Sophia sat rigid, hands clasped tight. She hadn't slept much. I could tell from the way she held herself, like someone bracing for impact. Dr. Carter waited. I waited. Halfway through, Sophia finally turned toward me.
Nathan, if I told you I did something that really hurt you, something I'm deeply ashamed of, would you be willing to hear me out before you say anything? I need you to know that I love you. Whatever I tell you today, that part is real.
Her voice was thin, eyes wet. I looked at her steadily and said nothing.
There's someone at work. His name is Tyler. It started about a year ago. I'm so sorry. It started as just talking, and then it crossed a line. I ended it. I swear to you, I ended it. It meant nothing. I was in a bad place, and I made a terrible choice, and I will never forgive myself.
She was crying now. The real kind, not performance. Actual panic. Is that all? I asked. Her breath caught. Dr. Carter leaned forward gently. Rachel, if there's more, this is the moment to be fully honest. Sophia shook her head, then nodded, then looked at the floor.
There was someone else before Tyler, a trainer from my gym, Derek. It was longer, almost 3 years.
3 years. She said it like she was apologizing for leaving a dish in the sink. Dr. Carter spoke carefully. That's a significant amount for Nathan to process. This is a lot for both of you to sit with. Maybe we slow down. No need, I said, and stood up. Both of them looked at me. Thank you for your help, Dr. Carter. This session has been very clarifying.
Nathan, wait, please. We came here to work on things. We came here together. Please, just sit back down and talk to me.
You came here to confess in a safe room, I said. I came here to hear you say it out loud.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
I already knew, Sophia. Tyler, Derek, the hotel confirmations, the gym, all of it. Her face went white.
You knew? How long have you known? Why didn't you say anything? Why did you let me sit here and go through all of this if you already—
Because I needed the truth from your mouth. Not excuses, not half stories. The truth. I walked toward the door.
Nathan, please. Please don't walk out of here. We can still fix this. I'll do anything. Therapy every week. I'll quit my job. I'll cut off everyone. Just please don't leave. Please.
We're past fixing, I said. And I left her there, crying into her hands while the truth she'd been managing for 3 years finally stopped being manageable. Free creature. The hallway outside was quiet. I walked to the parking lot without looking back. Brian Cole, my attorney, was already there, suit pressed, folder in hand. He'd been waiting for my text. Sophia came through the doors behind me, still crying.
Nathan, can we just talk? Just us, no lawyers, no paperwork, just you and me, like we used to be. I'm begging you.
Brian stepped forward calmly. Mrs. Walker, I'm Brian Cole. I represent Nathan. This packet outlines the next steps. You'll want to review your copy with your own counsel. Sophia stared at the envelope.
An attorney? You had an attorney waiting here? You planned all of this? This whole time, the therapy, coming home early, you were building a case?
I was building clarity, I said. You were building lies. She pressed her palms to her forehead.
This isn't fair. I just told you everything. I was honest with you in there. Doesn't that count for anything? I sat in that room and I told you the truth, and you're standing here with a lawyer like I'm some kind of criminal.
You told me the truth because you ran out of options, I said. Not because you chose to. She looked between me and Brian, searching for something that would change the outcome. There was nothing. Brian placed the pen in my hand. I signed. Free Creekfer. After that day, Sophia's messages came in waves. Long apologies, short bursts, voice notes that swung between crying and blaming. I forwarded everything to Brian without responding. Then she tried a different angle. Tyler's girlfriend, a woman named Ashley, received a package in the mail 3 days later. Victor had helped me compile it. Photos, timestamps, hotel receipts, enough to answer every question Ashley had probably been carrying without knowing she was carrying it. Tyler's phone went silent within the hour. By the end of the week, he'd moved out of their shared apartment. His Instagram went private. His number, when Sophia tried to call it, went straight to voicemail. She had nowhere left to turn. The gym where Derek trained quietly let him go after an anonymous tip reached the management, including screenshots of messages sent on gym-owned equipment during working hours. Derek stopped responding to Sophia's messages 3 days later. One by one, every exit she thought she had quietly closed. The last time I saw Sophia was outside the courthouse after the final paperwork was done. She looked nothing like the woman who used to come home from the gym already showered, makeup fresh, performing normalcy with such practiced ease.
I hope you feel good about yourself, she said. It came out flat, hollow, like she'd used up everything she had. I hope whatever you think you got from all of this was worth it.
I wanted loyalty, I said. That's all I ever wanted.
I made mistakes. People make mistakes, Nathan. That doesn't mean you had to dismantle my entire life over it.
You dismantled it, I said. The moment you made the first choice, then the second, then kept making them for 3 years. She hugged her arms around herself. Didn't answer. Her brother Kevin guided her gently toward the car. She didn't look back. I stood there for a moment in the afternoon light, thinking about the Tuesday I'd stood at the bottom of my own staircase and listened, about the phone call I'd connected, about Tyler sitting somewhere right now, having lost everything too, for reasons he couldn't explain to anyone without confessing what he'd done. About Sophia, who thought she was so careful, who came home every night and cooked dinner and poured wine and sat across from me like everything was exactly as it appeared. She never once considered that I might already know. That was her mistake. Not the first one, but the one that made all the others irreversible. That's where this story ends. Thank you for listening. If this one stayed with you, subscribe, leave a like, and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.